Hey everybody, Hoang here, and today we're going to go over my Agumon Bond of Bravery deck profile. I personally find Bond of Bravery a lot more entertaining and enjoyable than Bond of Friendship, just because the amount of control that your deck can pump out while simultaneously you maintain a lot of pressure, a lot of that rookie rush playstyle. It's just a lot of fun. I personally feel this deck is genuinely on par with Jessamon in terms of how much I enjoy it, so that should really say a lot, right? Because I love Jessamon. And I do just want to say before we get into the video that just remember that you guys can all join my Discord. It's going to be in the description down below. In the Discord, you can talk to me personally, you can talk to my community, and you can also just ask questions in regards to the BT6 format, because I know we're getting that product finally in North America. So definitely, if you have questions, please feel free to swing on by. So without further ado, let's get started. To kick us off, we're going to talk about the BT6 Agumon, which was just recently introduced. BT6 Agumon is a 3-cost to slam, 0 to digivolve, and it states during both players' turns, once per turn, if you play a tamer with Tai Kamiya in its name, gain 1 memory. And then, ESS, if this Digimon is underneath Bond of Bravery, gain +1 security attack. So the reason why Agumon is actually super cool is because of the memory he does enable you to gain. Tai in Bond of Bravery is a lot more significant than Matt is for Bond of Friendship, and the reason why is because you rely so much on a Agumon lethal setup. So being able to establish your tamers is really important. Not only that, but it allows you to get that additional draw, because we don't have that much draw power in Agumon Bond of Bravery, right? In comparison to Gabumon, which has all that inherent blue draw. But Agumon is not as impactful as Gabumon is for Gabumon, because Gabumon enables 3 attacks, and while here we enable +1 security attack. Well, it's still very good, but Agumon is not as significant as Gabumon is, but Tai, which we'll get to in a bit, is more significant than Matt. Following up, we have what is arguably the strongest level 4 in the BT6 format, and that is Promo Greymon. Promo Greymon is a 5-cost to hard slam, 2-cost to digivolve into with 5000 DP, and states during your turn, if this Digimon has Agumon in its source, you gain 1 security attack. Now, Greymon's actually super insane, because if you think about it, in the Bond format, a lot of decks are going to have lower DP values because Bond, right? Bonds will take up the majority of the player base, most likely, right? Gabumon is hyped up to be the best deck in the format. Agumon is also something to consider. And so as a result, the DP threshold is a lot lower in BT6. So as a result, Greymon is a lot more likely to survive. And if Greymon survives, then you're getting 2 damage off while maintaining that body. In red, you have a lot of natural DP gain, so using Demi-Meramon plus one of the Agumons, you can actually swing upwards of 8000 DP, which also breaks over majority of level 5s in the game. And so, because of how significant that is, Greymon surviving and doing that much damage is just so much pressure. And that is why I think he is arguably the best level 4 in the format. Now, I talked about this a little bit in the Agumon point, but I want to reiterate why Tai is so impactful in Bond of Bravery than Matt is. And the reason why is because we don't have a Hammer Spark, right? Bond of Friendship has access to draw powers, access to Hammer Spark, right? It has these really neat tools. Red doesn't have that. Red is a lot more of an honest deck. We are more reliant on our control options. And so as a result, Tai plays a very crucial role in the sense that it gives us memory to make our plays. It also allows us to draw an additional card, and these do stack. So setting up several Tais can be very impactful to getting to your win con. If you place Tai on turn 1, that means on turn 2 you can go into Promo Greymon and swing for 2 security, which is super huge if you really think about that. Like, that's just putting you very far ahead in the damage race. In this format, you're going to get put to 3 very often, just because a lot of stuff you're going to be hard slamming and it's going to cost 3, tamers cost 3, etc., right? And so you'll be able to play Tai, maybe a second Tai, and make your plays from there. Tai is absolutely insane in Bond deck. And now finally, we're going to talk about the boss card of the Bond of Bravery deck, Bob. Bob is not Bond of Friendship. He is not 3 attacks, but on the contrary, he is able to pop most Digimon in the game, as well as burn a security. And when you play into security control, for example, burning a security is a lot more valuable than swinging 3 times, because, oh man, did I burn your Wyvern's Breath? Ah, dang, what a shame. But anyway, More importantly, because Bob is in red, that does mean he gets inherent DP plus more than likely, right? Demi-Meramon is the most prime example. This means that Bob is able to swing over opposing bonds in the security, which means you are very likely to live and thus resolving 2 damage if you have Agumon underneath, and then you can Agunimon for lethal. And I'm going to talk about Agunimon a lot because Agunimon really is the finisher in the deck. It's not Bob, it's Agunimon. Alright, now getting into the text. Gabubond is a lot more flexible than Agumon is, and the reason for that is because as long as you have the core in Gabubond, the rest is very much so what you want to do. You have all this draw power, you have this memory manipulation, you have a lot of room to mess around with. Agumon doesn't have that much luxury, especially because you have to fit in so much removal, but the type of removal that you can fit in is quite, as they say, plentiful. There's a lot of really cool removal options that you can fit into Agumon, that Gabubon, what they match it with Kokaida's Breath, V-Wing Blast, something along those lines, and that's where the line is drawn. Magnadramon is a really interesting tech. Not only does it give you longevity against the mirror, but also is very potent versus security control. You could look for a deck out win con in that situation. And overall, really good card in general. I personally don't run Magnadramon in my own list, just because I feel like passing over 10 is very dangerous. But I do acknowledge how significant that card can be. One of my favorite things to do is burn myself to 0 off the Tide Warp and then heal using Magnadramon, thus maintaining the bond on my board. I think it's a really cool combo. Red Reamer is another great tech you can play. It is a 4-cost removal that is very excellent versus early pressure decks. So if they try to establish, say, a Gorillamon or maybe a Deputymon, then you're able to snipe that, whereas otherwise you'd have to commit a Gaia Force or an Atomic Blaster. If you play versus Black Royal Knights, you can tech a yellow card such as Starter Deck TK, Pulsemon, or Starmon, plus Wyvern's Breath in order to out Craniamon, because if you fight against Craniamon, then it's really bad, because you just have no way to out it otherwise. Now, going into the matchups, and I apologize for the amount of text on the screen, it is quite a bit. Agumon has a pretty solid matchup into security control because you aren't as reliant on going wide for damage. You are a lot more competent at being able to make a single stack that can do a lot of damage. And Agumon also burns security, which is really nice. I think you definitely have a lot better of a security control matchup than Gabubon does. Gabubon's security control matchup is absolutely doomed. Your Tidamon matchup is also pretty solid because your security checks are a lot stronger. Atomic Blaster will hit you the Ginkaku promote, Gaia Force will hit Tidamon, etc. Rookie Rush and Gabubon are very manageable because of cards like Atomic Blaster, because of cards like Geo Greymon, because of cards like Red Reamer, etc. And Jesmon is a tad coin flippy. I think Jesmon can coin flip and win versus any deck realistically, but because of security promo Greymon, you do put them on a timer because of their deck's inconsistency, meaning that Greymon's very likely to survive. You break over everything that isn't Jesmon and they're level 7, which is huge. But your worst matchup, by far, is Black. Oh my god, it's so bad. Craniamon? Oh, if you want to kill Craniamon, you either have to swing over it using Agumon and hope they didn't boost its DP, or you have to cast Wyvern's Breath, and to do that you have to tech in a small yellow engine, and that just sucks. But if they have Craniamon plus Mechanorimon, then it's really bad, like really bad, because then nothing except for a really strong Wyvern's Breath is getting past that. And, people are going to say, oh, just go wide. It's fine. Go wide versus Crania. Cool. Now you've walked into its Ultimate Flare, Ironcladded Onslaught, Mechanorimon, whatever it may be. It's hard. It's a really hard matchup. Just keep that in mind. And now, what you have all been waiting for, my Agumon Bond of Bravery baseline deck list. So we're going to talk about every single card, what the card does, and how it interacts with the rest of the deck, and if we have time, we'll also talk about how that card interacts with the meta. So without further ado, let's talk about the eggs. You may notice I play 4 Demi-Meramon and 1 Coralmon. A lot of people want to play 4 Coralmon and 1 Demi-Meramon, and that's completely fine. Coralmon being able to give you an additional draw is really nice for sure. The reason I play Demi-Meramon is because I place a lot of emphasis on that Greymon. Greymon swinging for +1 security is how you win a lot of your matchups, and so Demi-Meramon makes Greymon hit 8k alongside the Agumons. Why that's so significant is because on average, 7k is the baseline DP threshold for most level 5s in the game. Rebellymon, Savior Hackmon, etc., even Majiramon. And so being at 8k means that suddenly that pool of what can kill you is a lot less. Now you're only dying to level 6s and 6, 7s and some of the options. And that's really, really, really good in my opinion. I'm going to play the one Coralmon because being able to draw that card here and there is really nice. If you want to increase your draw power, I will suggest you can play the red memory boost. That's a really excellent way to do stuff. If you want to create more consistency, you can also play Professor Agumon. That's also a very valid option. But again, that's something that you have to consider as you are an independent player going into the level 3s. 3 Searcher Agumon. The reason we don't play 4 Searcher Agumon is what I like to call diminishing returns. After 1 or 2 of the Searcher Agumon, the 3rd and 4th Searcher Agumon is kind of redundant because at that point you don't need any more tamers or you're bot decking cards that you may need, etc. And so we only play 3 because I think at 3 you see it often enough to where it's not too much and it's not too little. We play 3 of the 2-cost Agumon. 2-cost Agumon is fantastic. Like we said, the DP threshold in the Bond format is a lot lower, so being at 4k is really great. Swinging for 4k and being at 2-cost is absolutely fantastic. You can also choke your opponent very efficiently. Oftentimes you will be passing at 3, because of all the Agumons do cost 3, and you oftentimes pass on Agumon or you pass on Tai, whatever it may be. So being a 2 cost means that you can lock your opponent at a much more efficient memory threshold. We play 4 of the BT6 Agumon because I place a lot of emphasis on getting your ties at 2 cost. Not only that, but making your Bond of Bravery or Bob get +1 security attack is really fantastic. We play 4 of the promo Agumon because that plus 2000 DP on both Geo Greymon and Greymon is fantastic. Greymon hitting 7k and Geo Greymon hitting 7k as well. This is also really great for swinging over opposing threats. So if they swung Gorillamon, for example, and it survived, then you can smack the Gorillamon, and that's just huge tempo. Same reasoning as we play the 3 starter deck Agumon because it just gives DP to our Geo Greymon and Greymon. And we play, going to our level 4s, we play the 4 Agunimon. You have to play 4 Agunimon. There's literally no arguing room. I emphasized Agunimon so much because that's how important this card is. It is literally your finisher. We don't swing 3 times. We swing for 1 time, swing for 2 damage, burn 1, and that isn't exactly the same end result as swinging 3 times, so you have to play Agunimon because I promise you, you're going to end the game with Agunimon more than you realize. 4 promo Greymon, need I say any more? That card is absolutely the king of the level 4 game. Play 4, don't play any less, don't be dumb. 4 Geo Greymon. Geo Greymon is absolutely phenomenal in this format. Being able to snipe the bond bodies, the little guys, is really powerful, and it also generates your own body, which you can threaten lethal with, and that's just great. We play 2 Magnadramon. Again, I'm not a personal fan of Magnadramon in my own list, but I know a lot of people really like this card. I think it's completely acceptable and fine as a baseline as well, so we can get away with 2 Magnadramon. It helps you in the mirror match. It can help you versus Gabu Bond. It can also help you versus security control. I think this card is overall just very good. And like I mentioned before, you can do the combo where you burn yourself to 0, Bond of Bravery, go to the Bob, and then you heal for 2. Super strong combo right there. And then we play 3 Bond of Bravery. You can play 4. 4 is very acceptable, but you're not likely to look for a Bond of Bravery play early game as opposed to maybe going into double Bond of Friendship, because Bond of Friendship is just a lot more of a high impact card. That's why we only play 3. And this choice is a lot more justified if you play Red Memory Boost as well, so do keep that in mind, as well as Coralmon. I play 1 Red Reamer. Red Reamer is just a way for us to pop early game bodies, say Deputymon against Musket, for example, for only 4 costs, right? So we're not committing a whole Atomic Blaster to it, we're just committing Red Reamer. And if they go wide, then Red Reamer can suddenly kill level 6s, and that's really great as well. 4 Gaia Force, your security needs to be stacked. You need to be able to blow up Titamon. You need to be able to blow up Gabu Bond. You need to be able to blow up all these various threats in the format. OTK is the name of the game for a lot of these decks, and Gaia Force is how you stop those OTKs. And form Atomic Blasters. Atomic Blaster is the bread and butter way of answering these go wide decks. You don't want to give them any breathing room. You just want to smite them on the spot. They play 2 BT1 Gabumons and 1 Gorillamon. Cool. That's 3 bodies off the board for 5 memory. That's insane. We play 3 Marcus. You want that memory chamber. That's super huge because that allows you to play 2 Agumons in a turn, for example. If you swing with your Greymons, either Greymon, you get +1 memory, and that can also be very significant because that can enable. And now finally, we're going to talk about the cards you can add to your deck from the EX collection. From EX, we get a lot more consistency and we get a lot more security pressure. EX Agumon, when attacking ESS, once per turn, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Tamer or 1 Digimon with Agumon in its name. This can include Agumon Bond of Bravery. So that's just an insane consistency booster because if you swing a Greymon, cool, you can find your Agumon or you can find your ties, whatever it may be. And Skull Greymon, and you swing Skull Greymon, it comes from a red or purple. It gets +1 security attack, and at the end of the battle, it will die, and then you summon an Agumon to the board as rested, and that's just really strong because that's not. It's a 10k swing, I believe. I think it's 10k. It might be a little less actually. It might be 7. Either or. I might be confusing it with BT6 Greymon, Skull Greymon, which I definitely am now. I'm thinking about it. But not only do you swing for a huge amount, if you have the promo Agumon as well as Demi Meramon, then you're swinging for a level 6 range. That's really great for 2 damage, and then you also get a body out of it, which can threaten lethal or force your opponent to waste an attack, and that's just really strong overall. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you got this far into this video, I really do appreciate it. Please remember, Bond of Bravery is a very flexible deck. Not as flexible as Gabu Bond is, but definitely it's very flexible. There's the Yellow Package, Red Reamer, Magnedramon, Professor Agumon, Memory Boost, etc. There's a lot of really great additions you can add to this deck. Please do not forget to join my Discord if you want to talk to me personally, if you want to talk to just a really friendly community overall, and just ask questions about BT6. And for sure, make sure you comment down below if you have any questions you want to ask on the video. So thank you guys for watching so much. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Take it easy.